Joakim Noah once finished fourth in MVP voting. That sounds strange now, but in 2013 to 14, it really happened. Derrick Rose played only 10 games before another knee injury hit. Luol Deng was traded in the middle of the season. Chicago basically lost every normal source of offense. Then Noah became the whole system. Not by scoring 30 a night. That was never his game. The Bulls ran the ball through him at the elbow, letting him pass, read defenses, and control possessions like a 7-foot point guard. He averaged 12.6 points, 11.3 rebounds, and 5.4 assists while winning Defensive Player of the Year. Chicago still won 48 games. And this was years before Nikola Jokic made point center basketball feel normal. Injuries later destroyed Noah's prime. But for one season, he was not just a defender. He was Chicago's engine. Julius Randle went from getting booed at Madison Square Garden to receiving MVP votes in 1 year. The season before Knicks fans were tired of the spins, the over-dribbling, and the messy decisions. Then 2020 to 21 happened. Suddenly, Randle looked like a real star. He averaged 24.1 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 6 assists while dragging New York to the 4th seed in the East. The Knicks had home court advantage for the first time since 2013. The wild part was the shooting. Randle had never been trusted as a real perimeter threat. Then he shot over 41% from three often on tough self-created looks. He played 71 of 72 games and led the NBA in total minutes. Then Atlanta trapped him in the playoffs. He collapsed. And one bad series buried the whole miracle. Al Jefferson carried the Charlotte Bobcats to the playoffs with a style the NBA was already leaving behind. In 2013 to 14, the league was moving toward spacing, three speed, and perimeter creation. Jefferson went the other way. Post-ups, pump fakes, hooks, drop steps, old basketball, slow basketball. But it worked. Charlotte was still trying to escape the memory of a 7-59 season, one of the worst records in NBA history. Jefferson averaged over 21 points and 10 rebounds, and turned the Bobcats into a 43-win playoff team. Kemba Walker was still developing. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist had almost no shooting range. Yet Jefferson kept the offense alive. In March, he was nearly a 25-11 player every night. Then plantar fasciitis hit before the playoffs. Miami swept Charlotte, and LeBron's shadow erased the whole thing. Ty Lawson once received an MVP vote in a season where he was not an all-star. No All-NBA. No superstar label. That is exactly why the season vanished. The 2012-13 Nuggets won 57 games, the best regular season record in franchise history at the time. They had no 30-point scorer. No LeBron, Kobe, or Durant type of name, but George Karl's system moved like a storm. Lawson was the switch. He averaged 16.7 points and 6.9 assists, pushed the pace, broke defenses, and made Denver the fastest team in basketball. The Nuggets went 38-3 at home. At one point, they won 24 of 27 games. Then everything flipped. Danilo Gallinari tore his ACL. Golden State knocked Denver out in round 1, and that series became Steph Curry's breakout story. Lawson did not disappear because he failed. He disappeared because another story got louder. Goran Dragic once turned a projected tanking team into a 48-win problem. Phoenix entered 2013 to 14 with almost no expectations. A lot of people thought the Suns would be near the bottom. Instead, they nearly made the playoffs in the West. Dragic was the reason. He averaged 20.3 points and 5.9 assists while shooting 50.5% from the field and 40.8% from three. For a high-usage guard, that efficiency was ridiculous. This was not a 2-week heater. It lasted all season. Eric Bledsoe missed long stretches, so Dragic had to carry the offense almost every night. Phoenix played fast, sharp, and annoying. They destroyed every preseason prediction. Dragic won Most Improved Player, made All-NBA third team, but the Suns missed the playoffs. The core broke quickly. Dragic left, and the whole season disappeared. P.J. Brown once received an MVP vote on a Hornets team that won 18 games. And the wildest part is Kobe Bryant got 0 votes that season. In 2004 to 2005, New Orleans finished 18-64, almost at the bottom of the entire league. Brown was not scoring 25 a night. He was not making highlights. There was no media campaign behind him. He averaged 10.8 points and 9 rebounds, played all 82 games at age 35, and kept a broken team from fully falling apart. The Hornets were unstable. Jamal Mashburn barely played. Baron Davis was dealing with injuries. Brown was basically the adult in the room. One voter gave him a 5th-place MVP vote. That was it. But that was enough to create one of the strangest ballots in NBA history. An 18-win team, a veteran role player, and somehow above Kobe. Steven Jackson once pushed the Charlotte Bobcats into the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. That does not sound like an MVP story. But in 2009-10, he actually received MVP votes. Before that season, Charlotte was almost invisible. No winning seasons. No playoffs. No real reason for national TV to care. Then Jackson arrived from Golden State and changed the entire feeling of the team. He averaged over 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists while acting as the main offensive engine in Larry Brown's slow system. The Bobcats won 44 games and grabbed the 7th seed in the East. Gerald Wallace was the all-star, but Jackson often carried the offense. He dropped 43 against Houston, a franchise record at the time. The strange part is Jackson had been known as a volatile scorer. In Charlotte, he became the face of a playoff team. Then Orlando swept them, and that Bobcats season disappeared. Blake Griffin once finished 3rd in MVP voting. Not 10th. Not a few random respect votes. 3rd. In 2013-14, he finished behind only Kevin Durant and LeBron James, while ranking above Steph Curry, James Harden, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, and Dwight Howard. Today, a lot of fans remember Blake for dunks, lob city, and injuries. But that season, he became a real half-court superstar. He averaged 24.1 points, 9.5 rebounds, almost 4 assists, and shot over 52%. Then Chris Paul hurt his shoulder and missed 18 games. That is when everything shifted. Blake did not fade. He exploded. For a stretch, he was basically giving the Clippers 30 and 10 every night. If you like forgotten NBA stories like this, subscribe. Back to Blake. The problem is Lob City never reached the conference finals, so his real MVP season got remembered like one long dunk contest. Peja Stojakovic once finished 4th in MVP voting and even received a first-place vote. That almost sounds wrong now, because most fans remember him as the secondary star next to Chris Webber. But in 2003-2004, Webber missed most of the season with a knee injury. Sacramento needed a new number 1. Peja stepped into it. He averaged 24.2 points and 6.3 rebounds while shooting 48% from the field, over 43% from 3, and above 92% from the line. The Kings still won 55 games and took the Pacific Division. He led the entire NBA in made threes. He also led the league in free throw percentage. That is not normal. That is a real superstar shooting season. But Sacramento did not win a title. Peja got hurt in the playoffs. Webber stayed the bigger historical name, and Peja's MVP-level year slowly got pushed into the background. Jamal Mashburn once had an All-NBA season, made the All-Star team, received MVP votes, and then almost vanished from NBA memory. In 2002-2003, he was the number 1 star for the New Orleans Hornets. The franchise had just moved from Charlotte to New Orleans, so there was almost no national spotlight. Mashburn averaged 21.6 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 5.6 assists while shooting 40% from 3 and playing all 82 games. This was not just a scorer. He was a big wing playmaker who could create for himself and everyone else. The Hornets won 47 games. He had a 50-point game against Memphis. He had a 40-point game against Orlando. But Michael Jordan was on his final All-Star tour. The league looked at Jordan, not Mashburn. Then injuries hit the next season. He played only 19 games. The prime ended too fast, and a real top-tier forward became a footnote from the early 2000s. Victor Oladipo once turned a mock trade into a real superstar season. In 2017, Indiana sent Paul George to Oklahoma City and got Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis back. At the time, a lot of people thought the Pacers got robbed. Oladipo had just looked ordinary next to Russell Westbrook. Then he arrived in Indiana. Everything changed immediately. He averaged 23.1 points, over 5 rebounds, over 4 assists, led the NBA in steals, and finished top 10 in MVP voting. The Pacers were supposed to rebuild. Instead, they won 48 games. Then they pushed LeBron James and the Cavaliers to Game 7 in the first round. Oladipo had a triple-double in Game 6. In Game 7, he scored 30. Then the quad injury came the next year. And because the peak lasted one season, people forgot how scary he really was. Isaiah Thomas once finished 5th in MVP voting at 5'9". That was not an emotional story getting exaggerated. That was the actual result. In 2016-17, Boston won 53 games and took the number 1 seed in the East above LeBron's Cavaliers. Thomas averaged 28.9 points per game. He was not just scoring. He was destroying teams in the fourth quarter. All season they called him king in the fourth because late in games, Boston gave him the ball and waited for something ridiculous. Then the playoffs arrived. His sister China Thomas passed away. One day later, he still played and scored 33. Then on what would have been her birthday, he dropped 53 against Washington. But the hip injury changed everything. Boston traded him for Kyrie Irving, and one strange, painful, impossible MVP season ended like a door slamming shut. These seasons did not disappear because they were not great. They disappeared because of injuries, playoff losses, small markets, or bigger stories swallowing them whole. The NBA remembers winners, but sometimes the forgotten seasons are the strangest ones.